No.
All set?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the November 8th Clifton Park Town Board meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Teresa, if you call the roll.
Councilwoman Flood? Here. Councilwoman Standard? Here. Councilman Morelli? Here. Councilwoman Wallowitz? Here. Supervisor Barry?
Here. No minutes to consider this week. So we'll go right to communications and announcements. The first is sent a proposed application for a nonprofit program, a grant program that we've been discussing back the end of July. Sent the proposed application, which was very similar to the Community Action Fund app. It was easy, simple, and one addition was the emphasis on the negative effects of the pandemic as being an important element of that grant program. So I know board members were taking a look at that proposal, an application. I think at this point behoove us to get moving on that sooner than later. So if you had any ideas, please send them to the board. Secondly, we have a decision to make by the end of the year. And there's a couple elements to it. There's been a lot of press about about this program and what municipalities have a choice to do by the end of the year. Obviously, this whole idea has been talked about for many years, and that is the adult use of cannabis in communities, the ability for entities to sell it and use it on site, and there's really a two-pronged decision, and that is to opt in or opt out of the sales portion of the law. Each municipality has that option to undertake. The other is the same is true for on-site cannabis consumption sites. So you could possibly have entities within your municipality selling cannabis, and then also having on-site consumption lounges, or whatever term that they're called. I know there's cigar lounges where people get together and smoke cigars. I assume it would be the same type of thing, but in either case, it would allow use on site. Now, if we don't take any action, then we're opted in to the program. So I wanted to share this with the board, and basically it's a local proposed or sample, whatever you want to describe it. Local law opting out of the adult use cannabis on-site consumption sites. So it would behoove us to set a public hearing in the near future to gain reaction and comments from residents of Clifton Park about this topic. Two other parts of this whole equation. We took two proactive steps several years ago. One was to sign areas where medical marijuana facilities that were selling medical marijuana could operate within the town of Clifton Park. So we went through that process several years ago, and at that time I had said I would imagine, and it is my guess, that marijuana will be legalized for recreational use at some point in the near future. So it was just several years later, and here we are. So we have put a lot of time and effort into zoning for medical marijuana. And I think we should also, as part of the process, review that zoning to see if it requires any alterations from then to now. And the other thing is, we prohibited smoking in parks and preserves in town. So people would not be able to smoke marijuana in those public areas. So I think, again, that was a very positive, proactive step that we took several years ago. I don't remember what year it was that we did that, but it was several years ago. Yeah, yeah. So, you know, at the very least, you know, if you want to take a look at this, it's very short. It's only a page, not even a page and a half. Really just a page of content regarding the opting out of adult use cannabis on site consumption sites. And we can have John Scavo go through the zoning as it pertains to medical marijuana and possibly recreational marijuana sites as well. If it's the board's pleasure to opt in or take no action by the end of the year. The smoking regulations, they've been in place for a number of years, like I mentioned, and I would not recommend changing those at this time. So, so take a look at that, and you know, we'll discuss this further. But like I said, we should solicit comment first meeting in December. If everybody's comfortable with moving forward on establishing a public hearing. As far as the zoning goes, Tom, I mean, I want to get you off guard here, but as we, that would also have to be part of the legal notice in the public hearing, what the current zoning is for medical marijuana, if we wanted to basically copy that same zoning for recreational. Or change it, but we can at least use that as a.
I don't believe that you're under the same deadline if you want to adjust your zoning for the retail sales or this. I'll take a look at that, but I don't think you have to act by December 31st on a zoning change like you do have to act on the opt-out if you're going to choose to opt out.
Yeah.
I'd like to confirm that, but that's my thinking right now.
Well, I think it would be good to do them concurrently.
Sure.
If that would make sense. So so anyway, just socializing this for comments, thoughts, and we'll go from there.
So, just so
yes, Ms. Marley?
Just so I'm clear, the directive is if we are to opt out, it has to be done by December 31st.
Yes.
And otherwise you're deemed to have opted in.
Correct.
And you can't opt out past December 31st, is that the?
Correct. You can't opt out afterwards. You can go the other way. If you opt out now, you can repeal that and opt in later, but you can't. Don't opt out by December 31st, then you can't prohibit either of these uses in town.
Ever.
Right.
Ever.
Well, as it stands now, I guess, yeah, unless it changes.
Based on the current state statute that they passed.
Okay. All right. Any other communications and announcements today?
I just wanted
Yes.
to thank the Saratoga County History Roundtable Group. Mr. Jim Richmond came to the tavern and had a huge turnout. There wasn't one parking spot left. So a lot of people came through the tavern. It was great. All the authors were there to sign all the books, the Saratoga County stories. all the local historians. So it was a great event put on by the Friends of Bruce Tavern and the Historical Society. So we did a good job.
Very good. Thank you much. And John Scherer is one of the authors, yeah.
I'm still waiting for the event where we all get the mustaches.
Yeah.
He's here.
Well, they already beat us to it.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, when they beat us to it, his colleagues, that was pretty cool. All right, we do have a few resolutions for consideration. Teresa, if you could read through those, please.
A resolution adopting a town tree ordinance, whereas since 2007, the volunteer-based government Rethinking Energy and Environment Now, the Green Committee, has been assisting and advising the town board on energy and environmental impacts and issues. And whereas the town, through the Green Committee, has been working towards official designation as a Tree City USA through the Arbor Day Foundation and National Association of State Foresters. And whereas to achieve Tree City USA designation, the town must meet 4 separate standards. And whereas the town has met the first standard with a regular official observance of Arbor Day, and whereas the town has met the second standard with a volunteer tree committee established through resolution number 142 of 2021. And whereas following the establishment of the tree committee, its volunteer members work tirelessly on behalf of the community towards achieving the final 2 standards for Tree City USA designation. And whereas after extensive research, the tree committee was able to document that the town has met the 3rd standard by spending $2 per capita annually towards the planting, care, and removal of diseased trees. And whereas the final standard would involve the creation of a tree ordinance to preserve, protect, and enhance the town's natural environment through tree protection and sustainable tree plantings for the benefit of current residents and those the generations to come. And whereas the tree committee worked with Highway Superintendent, Director of Planning, and Director of Buildings, Parks, and Recreation to draft a town tree ordinance to present to the town board. And whereas on November 1st, 2021, the town board conducted a public hearing to consider adoption of a tree ordinance. And whereas members of the public present at the public hearing spoke in favor of the town board adopting the proposed tree ordinance. And whereas official designation as a Tree City USA will provide numerous environmental, societal, and financial benefits to the town. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board officially adopts the Clifton Park Tree Ordinance per attached Schedule A. A resolution authorizing the assessor to accept a proposal from Systems Development Group Incorporated for a web-based tool for assessment and real property information. Whereas Walter Smead, sole assessor, has requested the installation of a web service to integrate real property data with additional comprehensive assessment and real property information on the assessor's page of the cliftonpark.org. And whereas Mr. Snead recommends that SDG Image Meet Online for Systems Development Group, LLC, Barneveld, New York, under state contract will provide an internet-based tool that will allow residents to access the assessment roll data as managed by the town assessor's office, including more up-to-date information than is currently available to the public at a cost not to exceed $1,500 for the first year. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby accepts the recommendation of Mr. Snead, and be it further resolved that the assessor is authorized to request the installation of SDG Image Made Online on the cliftonpark.org Department's Assessor by Systems Development Group under New York State OGS backdrop contract at a cost not to exceed $1,500 to be paid from assessor computer. A resolution approving change order number 1 to a contract with Executive Electric for installation of LED streetlights within the town. Whereas by resolution number 246 of 2018, the town board awarded an energy efficiency contract to Siemens Industries to specify and implement a program to acquire the streetlights within the town and replace all such lights with LED lighting. And whereas by resolution number 266 and number 274 of 2019, the town board authorized the execution of a purchase and sale agreements for streetlights within the town. And whereas Siemens has subcontracted with Executive Electric LLC 5 Schiller Street at Amsterdam to install the LED nodes in the town-owned streetlights. And whereas Daniel Clemens, Director of Buildings, Parks, and Recreation, has identified 2 light poles on Wall Street, each with 2 lights that were not listed on the existing inventory conducted. And whereas the town board wishes to upgrade the existing 4 lights to be consistent with the new LED light fixtures being installed elsewhere in town. And whereas Mr. Clemens has received change order number 1 from the existing subcontractor, Executive Electric, for the installation of the 4 additional nodes at a cost not to exceed $6,225. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor is authorized to sign change order number 1 to accept the quote from Executive Electric for 4 additional streetlight nodes along Wall Street. And be it further resolved that the comptroller is authorized to transfer an additional $6,225 from general fund public health other payments to general fund street lighting equipment. A resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an amendment to the administrative services agreement between the town and Empower Retirement for Employees Deferred Compensation Plan. Whereas the town of Clifton Park is a local public employer which has adopted the deferred compensation plan pursuant to Section 5 of the New York State Finance Law. And whereas the purpose of such plan is to provide employees with a convenient and tax-favored method of saving on a regular and long-term basis, and therefore provide for their retirement. And whereas by resolution number 273 of 2019, the town board amended a 5-year renewal agreement with Mass Mutual in conjunction with Reliance Trust Company to administer this plan under procedures set forth by the New York State Deferred Compensation Board. And whereas Mass Mutual has been acquired by Empower Retirement, which has informed the town that it will offer managed account services through Great West Trust Company at no cost to the town. And whereas the proposals were reviewed by the Deferred Compensation Committee, which recommended that the agreements be accepted, now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to sign an amendment to its contract with Empower Retirement in conjunction with Great West Trust Company as trustee. Be it further resolved that the supervisor is also authorized to sign an agreement for managed account services with Great West Life and Annuity Insurance Company effective February 1st, 2022.
Very good. John, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, Teresa, if you could read the headings, please.
Resolution number 253 of 2021, a resolution adopting a town tree ordinance. So moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mrs. Flood, and we had discussion about this ordinance at a recent town board meeting.
We did,
You want
thank you.
to,
Yeah, really, well, we've already discussed that this is also, what prompted this tree ordinance was the tree committee seeking our Tree City USA designation from the Arbor Day Foundation. However, this also gives some of our town departments the ability to call on the experts that we have on this committee to help when there are some issues and questions regarding trees. We've just received our first request from one of the town departments, so the committee is looking forward to assisting that department with their opinion on some particular trees in town that might that require a little bit more attention. So really, that's it. We look forward to moving forward with this Tree City USA designation. The help from the Arbor Day Foundation. Not only the environmental benefits that we will be getting, but also materials, and just that distinction from the Arbor Day Foundation will help us in the long run when it comes to things such as ramps and whatnot for some of the initiatives that we'd like to move forward with. So I appreciate your consideration.
okay, any further discussion? Okay, Teresa?
Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes,
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 254 of 2021, a resolution authorizing the assessor to accept a proposal from Systems Development Group Incorporated for a web-based tool for assessment of real property information. So moved.
second.
Moved by Mrs. Flood, second by Mr. Morelli. Walter, how are we doing tonight?
Good.
Tell us about the, actually, if you want to come up, why don't you come up here real quick and tell us about the program we're talking about here.
What this is, it's ImageMate. It's an online program that we're going to install on the CliftonPark.org webpage,
Mm-hmm.
and it's assessment data that we're going to put out there. It's very similar to what the county has out there now, except the county's website can only be updated once a year. that's usually July. So that information in August is already a month old. This is gonna give us flexibility to update the information such as ownership. We can even do photographs, and we can do a lot of other information when we wanna update it, which could be monthly, could be every 2 months, every 4 months, whatever we deem as necessary in order to update it. It's gonna give us a lot more flexibility, because we're gonna be working directly with this SG development company. Basically, they get electronic copies of our files and they put it out there. But they can put it out there when we give it to them, instead of just being held to this once a year cycle.
Yeah, right.
In town of Clifton Park, we have probably over 1,000 transfers a year. Just transfers of property sales from one person to another. That's just some of the information that we deal with on a regular basis. So this gives us quite a bit of flexibility to put some of that stuff out there. So if anybody is looking for that type of stuff, they can just go to cliftonpark.org instead of going to Saratoga County, ImageMate, and a similar way, but this way they can just go to right here to their own town.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and it's a program that's very useful for many people, homeowners, people in different industries, all benefit from this information being available. And obviously, if it's available on a more timely basis, that would be a very good thing to do. So, what would you consider to be realistic as far as how often we can or should be able to update this? I mean, can we do it monthly
Yeah, we'll
or?
probably do something like monthly, because if we do it monthly, that's, could be 100, 150 new owners. Just that information alone would be helpful. Depending on how sales go, it could be more, it could be less. But just getting that, and as we get more familiar with how they extract the information that we give them to put out there, because there is some information that is not public. That's basically how I create my role. I actually work in 2 years at the same time. Current year, which is where you get your tax bills and everything you're going to collect for this year. But I'm already creating and working in 2022, creating 2022's role. So I'm a year ahead already. Some of that information is not public information as far as assessments, exemptions, because they're not finalized. Some of the other information is, such as things like ownership, acreage, frontage, different things that go on as the town creates subdivisions and parcels. We're adding them all the time, all year long, but we don't put them out there. So once I get more familiar with SDG and how they work, we can develop more and put more out there. And it will be local.
Yeah, I think posting new information on a monthly basis would be a valid and hopefully attainable goal.
Right. I know a lot of people use it, so they're out there constantly looking for ownership, I know, for different things, whether it's trying to get a hold of somebody or whatever. So we get calls all the time for, do we have anything on this? So it should be pretty good. We're a big enough town now, and we have been. STG has been around for well over 30 years. They work with a lot of municipalities. So it's something, I know several towns in this area, the bigger towns in Albany County, Colony has it out there. And I think it has to do a lot with the size of the town and the volume of the information that you're putting out there, which we kind of meet all of those conditions now.
Right. Okay. And based on the price and the amount of information that you're talking about, that's not a lot of money for that many transfers each and every year.
And they've gotten a lot better. Technology and how we transfer information electronically has gotten a lot easier, so we can maneuver. Clifton Park is such a large data file, such a large town. It used to take us, just for the images that we have here for buildings and whatnot, 7 floppy disks to transfer all the images. We'd have to load them on 7 different floppy disks and then try to figure out a way to electronically send that somewhere. Now we just put them on a thumb drive, and we have electronic drop boxes and things that we can move that data almost immediately. Where 5 years ago, it would take hours.
Mhm.
We used to set up and run stuff overnight to try to transfer so much data. We can do it in seconds or minutes now.
And you can transfer it to them.
Yeah, right to them directly, which we already have a Dropbox with them, so we've already sent information back and forth, so it should be something that should go pretty smooth.
Mhm.
And like I say, once I get more familiar with their capabilities, it's a good stepping stone to do more all at the town level.
Right, right. Okay. Any questions for Walter?
Do other local, sorry,
Go ahead.
do other local towns have this in the county, or would we be the first?
No, we'd be the first.
In the county?
In the county,
Yeah,
in this
right.
county,
Right.
You know, like I said, I know Colony has it, I think Bethlehem may have it. A lot of towns, they're based out around Syracuse. A lot of towns out around Syracuse use it and have it.
Hmm.
Like I said, it's mostly for your larger towns.
Like you said, Walter, we are large enough to have this, to host the system ourselves.
Yes.
I use the county system on a daily basis, and I know not only is it gonna be helpful to us,
Mhm.
to you, to other departments, but, like you said, it will be helpful to the residents as well. So I think it's a very smart idea to have this and host this on our own
I
website.
think it will be easier for them to just go to cliftonpark.org and just go to the webpage for the assessor and go like, and find it that way.
Mhm.
And then basically having it in 2 places is not a bad idea either.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody.
Well, it's gonna take people a while to
Exactly.
hear about it
To hear
and
about it, right.
know that they have a more updated version available on our website, so that'll take some time to get that filtered out, but we'll certainly do our best to get it out as quickly as possible. All right, very good.
Okay.
Thanks, Walt.
All right.
Appreciate it. Teresa?
Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Stanford?
Yes.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes,
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 255 of 2021, a resolution approving change order number 1 to a contract with Executive Electric for installation of LED streetlights within the town. So moved.
second.
Moved by Mr. Standard, second by Mr. Morelli. We have a couple of lights that are in the median on Wall Street, just as you turn onto Wall Street from Clifton Country, and they're not working. We believe when the property was donated for the library and the library was constructed, that those lights were also constructed at the same time. There's been some interest from Clifton Park residents to have those lights working, and they're there. They certainly can be working as long as we do the work necessary, which you see in the invoice that was provided. Thank Dan Clemens for doing the legwork on this, but it will definitely enhance the lighting in that busy area of town as you're turning onto Wall Street or coming out of Wall Street in the dark, especially the dark nights with inclement weather. That's what people were most concerned about, that expressed interest in having those lights working. Discussion, questions?
Mr. Supervisor, are those, the lights on Wall Street, are those ours or are those privately owned?
We don't, I asked John, I know John looked into it. We really can't trace it back to anybody specifically, other than what I just said, that they were constructed when the library was constructed. They look very similar to other lighting in that area.
When we had talked about this, when we were first going through this process, I thought we had mentioned, I thought there was discussion about the lights themselves being adjustable. Is that still the case?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. Because kind of takes a little bit of getting used to, so I didn't know if anyone had requested any adjustments yet. You know, it's quite an adjustment. They're very bright.
Yeah, they do shine, they shine more downward, but they're certainly brighter because a lot of the lights that, with the old technology, weren't emitting hardly any light at all. So when you go from a light that's not emitting much light to a new light that's shining downward, concentrated lighting that's much brighter, yes, it is.
Yeah.
It definitely is a difference.
It is noticeable,
Um,
but yeah, I think it takes some getting used to, but.
Yeah.
What's adjustable, the intensity or the angle?
Well, there's a couple things you can do. You can adjust the intensity, but you can also put shields around the circumference of the light itself. I'm not sure we'll have any instances where that will be necessary or an issue, but we might have instances where we would want to adjust the density of the light downward. I think the shields are more used in municipalities where you have a series of lights all in a row on one street. You know, some of these cities, obviously, they have thousands and thousands of street lights. So you go down a street in some municipalities and you have a series of lights all in a row. You get all that light together, very close to houses, and I think that's where those shields may come in handy. In our case, you know, the lights are spread out and not in a confined area like you might find in a city setting. But that being said, there might be some instances where the lighting needs to be adjusted.
Do we have a timeline on this?
They're over halfway done, but they're shooting for the end of November, early December.
I've had comments from people who especially live in that apartment complex there, but from others who go shopping in
Which
the area late
apartment?
at night, saying it is dark in there, so.
Whereabouts?
Oh,
on Wall
the
Street.
two lights,
Okay.
yeah, but
Yep.
listed in the, yes.
No, it definitely is. There's no doubt about it. Because there is no light at that location other than those two
No,
lights.
no, it is dark in there.
And there's a whole nother apartment building that's
The
Oh,
big light,
yeah.
yeah, the big light.
that's gonna add to like
Yeah.
walkability there.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, so, okay. All right.
Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes,
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes,
Resolution number 256 of 2021, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign an amendment to the administrative services agreement between the town and Empower Retirement for the Employees Deferred Compensation Plan.
second.
moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Morelli. Mark, Empower Retirement.
So this is for our 457 plan that employees donate on their own. And previously we had Mass Mutual was bought out by Empower for the retirement division. So this is doing the paperwork to transfer the name to Empower and Great Western, Great West Trust for New York State purposes.
So this is due to an acquisition, right?
Correct.
All right, any comments, questions from Mark? Okay, Teresa?
Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes,
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, any other business to come before the board this evening? Okay. John, did you have anything you'd like to discuss tonight?
One question.
Yes, sir.
A couple months back, we had a solar presentation.
Yep.
And if people signed up, the town would receive a discount. We would receive a discount. it's been a few months, we've noticed nothing in our bills and we haven't received a rebate.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
What's the
through Ambien.
status of that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk after the meeting. I
Okay.
think the gentleman, the gentleman from Ampion said that it would take about 6 months.
Okay,
Yeah, for the
that's fine.
entire process, yes. So, but we can, let's talk after the meeting and
all right.
we can.
That's all. I was just curious. I hadn't heard anything more about it.
How many signups have there been?
Boy, I believe at this point we have had roughly 30. I don't have the exact number in front of me.
Are you raising your hand? Or are you?
I am. We actually just got a check for $5,300. So 53.
Can you still,
I was told yes, that you could still. I know that there were some people that had looked into it just last week and were successful. So when I asked Mr. Busby that question, he said that they were putting an arbitrary type deadline on things, but really people can sign up at any time.
So you were one of them, John?
Yep.
All right.
When did you sign up, John?
Shortly after the
Shortly
meeting.
after. Okay, great.
Ambien is just one of a few different options, right?
Oh, yes, yes. Ampion, when the Green Committee was vetting companies to help out with this initiative, and again, this initiative was so that we could be eligible for a NYSERDA Clean Energy Communities grant. There were a whole host of companies that we could have elicited the help from to promote community solar. Ampion was the only one that was willing to give financial incentives to residents for signing up, and in addition, providing the same incentives to the town for green energy initiatives. So it was, and something that other municipalities in the county have been using or are entering into agreements as well. So we were familiar with what they have done with other communities and with those benefits to residents in the town. It was a good opportunity for us to go with that company. They were heavily vetted. So,
The
yeah.
check will be in the mail.
Check's in the mail, John. All right.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second by Mr. Morelli.
Councilwoman Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Standhardt?
Yes.
Councilman Morelli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Supervisor Barrett?
Yes, thank you.